My prediction of a Donald Trump victory was based upon a scientific method studying all American elections going back to 1860. My prediction of a Donald Trump impeachment, of course, could not be based on a mathematical model because there haven't been enough examples of impeachment in U.S. history. But my prediction of a Donald Trump impeachment in my book, The Case for Impeachment, was based on a deep study of the history of impeachments, the basis for impeachments, Donald Trump's record as a businessman, and Donald Trump's record during the first 2 or 3 months of his administration. That was enough to point me towards what seemed to be an inevitable end to the presidency in the first term.
And are you suggesting that impeachment is imminent?
Well, impeachment takes time. Let's not forget that Bill Clinton wasn't impeached until well into the 5th year of his presidency. Richard Nixon didn't resign until more than 5.5 years of his presidency. So I wouldn't say impeachment is right around the corner, but I do think it's going to come. And when it will come will be when Republicans come to realize that this president is a liability to their political survival. The Lichtman rule of politics is that the first requisite for any incumbent office holder is personal survival, not loyalty to someone else.
Impeachment, though, is not a thing. It is a vote. It takes people to back it.
That's right. Impeachment is a vote by a majority, not a supermajority, of the U.S. House of Representatives, and of course, Republicans control the U.S. House. But it would only take about 24 Republicans to defect from Donald Trump to get a majority vote on impeachment. That's only about 10% of Republicans in the House.
So is there a loyalty still from the Republican Party towards Donald Trump? Where do they stand on this?
I think his party stands on a knife edge. On the one hand, they desperately want to support their president, and they don't want to see an ugly impeachment process. On the other hand, they realize that a president whose approval rating is in the 36 to 40% range is a liability to their party and could be a liability to their own personal reelection. I don't think Republicans are at impeachment yet, but it wouldn't take all that much to push them over the line.
If Jeff Sessions is removed or goes, do you think that will trigger a revolt in the party base?
No, I don't think the firing of Jeff Sessions or the pushing of Jeff Sessions out by itself would be enough for the party, the Republicans, to move towards impeachment. What might move them towards impeachment would be that if the firing or resignation of Jeff Sessions was a prelude to the firing of the special counsel Robert Mueller. That could push Republicans over the line, although I'm not even certain that would do it.
So we're getting back to essentially the Russia scandal or the Russia question here. Is your sense that impeachment would come from treason?
I think we are treading close to possible treason. Russia attacked the United States. It wasn't a military attack, but it was an attack nonetheless, not only through hacking of Democratic emails, but through the use of Russian state-controlled media and through the use of trolls and bots to poison our political discourse. And if any of Trump's team was involved in colluding with the Russians in that attack, that arguably is treason. If Trump himself knew about it, even if he didn't participate, that's another crime called misprision of treason, the failure to report treason. And if Trump himself was involved, I believe a strong case could be made for treason. And treason is a very serious charge. No sitting high public official of the United States has ever been charged with treason in our history.
You write in the book about Trump's vulnerabilities. What do you see as his vulnerabilities?
I wrote in The Case for Impeachment that a Russian sword of Damocles is hanging over this administration. It's hanging on a very thin thread now. That meeting with Donald Trump Jr., Jared Kushner, and Paul Manafort, with a multiplicity of Russian actors, is, in my mind, pretty powerful circumstantial proof of collusion. The purpose of the meeting was to get from the Russian government dirt on Hillary Clinton, their opponent. That alone The willingness to take that meeting, the eagerness to take that meeting is certainly strong circumstantial evidence of collusion.
But people listening to this will be, possibly saying there is a man who's clearly a Democrat who is creating, if you like, rumour for political spite.
Nonsense. I have been predicting elections since 1984, and I've predicted about as many Republican victories as Democratic victories. If I was just, a flack for the Democratic Party, I never would have done that. In fact, I've lost all my Democratic friends because I predicted Donald Trump's victory. I even got a note from him acknowledging that prediction, saying, "A good call, Professor." In addition, there have been plenty of presidents with whom I've disagreed with their policies, but I've never before predicted a president was going to get impeached.